So Nazreen, bhai tahe dil se, please join me in welcoming a talent you definitely will be hearing a lot more about from this point onwards. I'm talking about the one, the only, the phenomenally talented JRaj Seg2. How's it going, man? Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
No problem. It is always a pleasure. Now, can I just tell you beforehand, bhai, aapka jo remix hai, Ajuba ka, of course, Shweta Subramanian. I think she's a phenomenal talent to watch out for.
Amazing.
But you think that someone with this much talent cannot be improved, and you took a song jo Pariche ne produce kiya tha, Shweta ne gaya tha, and you made it a whole new song.
Thanks, man.
So I'm very proud of you, and I think your work is definitely something to watch out for.
You know what? It was just a lot of fun. Shweta, just an amazing, just like you said, amazing talent. That Toronto, Toronto's at right now. I think Toronto's at this peak where everything is just coming together, just artists, musicians, whatever, everybody's getting together, we're working towards something. Shweta, just that's definitely a pillar that's good to build.
Absolutely. How was it just easy to kind of just approach Shweta and be like, hey, I want to make this happen?
No, honestly, I was like, how do I do this?
Who did you approach first, Pariche or Shweta?
Shweta. I definitely went to Shweta because Preet is like impossible to get a hold of.
Yes.
I can't get a hold of the guy. I tried messaging him. He's a very busy guy.
I can imagine why though, right? So you contact Shweta, you're like, good song, can I remix it?
Yeah, absolutely, because I've been working with Josh quite a bit recently as well. I've been touring with them, and then we were just, we're just working on some stuff. Can't say any much, but we're just having some fun right now. But she actually got me in touch with them through there, and then that's how I kind of branched out to that. So I owe a lot to Josh as well to kind of opening that avenue as well.
And I love Josh about that. I think I've had the good fortune of actually interviewing Josh a few times, and they're big, but they don't really you don't pick up on that when you actually are in their company, right? कि जब उनके साथ बैठे में होते हैं ऐसा लगता है कि भाई you're just sitting with just a bunch of artists. So we're
not even artists, just like the dudes.
They're just the guys. Yeah, I know.
Like the guys.
And they joke around about each other. I remember midway through an interview, I think it was Rube that started joking about Q. And I was just like, are you supposed to do this? And it was the kind of joke, like I'd be pissed off if someone said that about me.
Yeah.
So I love Josh for that.
You know what? They're just crazy outgoing, man. They're just very fun, chill, the guys like that.
And I think it's that kind of personality you need when you're actually in a line like this, right? You can't be uptight.
Definitely.
Especially when you're a Canadian Desi artist, because it's a small market. And in order to kind of survive through a circle of people, jahan sab ek dusre ko jante hain, you actually have to be a people person.
You know what? I think being Canadian has kind of made everybody look at you and be like, oh, Canadian. Okay.
Yes.
So it's just, they've set the bar that much higher for us because being from Canada, I think they just expect that much more.
Exactly.
They're waiting for something, you know what, show me what you can do. That's what the world is doing right now to Canada. That's why it's just so much fun.
And I think, that is so true. I think you've brought up a really good point. You're saying that, Canadian ho kya humare jagah se maar khate. The Americans are like, oh, you're Canadian. The Indians are like, oh, you're Canadian. no one takes it seriously. But I think, I think we're onto a really good point in our history, where we're waking up to the fact that talents such as Shweta, such as Josh, Deep Jandu, and yourself are rising very fast. So, sabki baatein ho gayi, let's talk about you really quickly. So, JRaj, I think it's been a phenomenal sort of past few years for you. I mean, touring with A-Slam, touring with Josh, I think remixing some really phenomenal artists. Where did this journey begin for you?
Honestly, music has been something that I've grown up with in my life. It's been in my family. My Nana ji used to play tol, so that's where I got tol from, which is one of the fundamentals. Percussion is one of my fundamentals, but actually that's not where I started. First instrument I ever actually played was the recorder and then trombone in school.
Yeah, recorder kya hota hai, please? I'm sorry, I'm illiterate when it comes to music.
So imagine like a clarinet, watered down, simplified, and made out of like plastic. That's exactly what a recorder is.
So it's a little bit different from a bansuri.
Yeah, it's same. It's like the reed woodwind kind of idea. It's just simplified. It's like basically the learning. It's the ABCs for learning other instruments.
Nice.
It's I think it's a very good place to start kids off, and this is a good place to start and develop a lot of. I'm making music because of recorder.
Oh, awesome! Wow. So you go from the recorder and then you go on to. What was the second instrument?
And then I went to trombone.
Whoa.
And then I started playing flute. I started exploring different kinds of percussion.
Nice.
In high school, I started playing Latin percussion, African percussion.
Wow.
Started playing a whole bunch of different instruments. I think that up until I was 21, it's just been the biggest learning process.
And this is a good thing. I think this is a rare thing because it's really easy. And I think this is you will not believe how many times we've had interviews with musicians. And the standard question is, do you need training? Like it is. I feel like we've asked this question to everyone, and I'm really glad that here comes someone who's not a producer, just a computer pakad liya, and it's like, let's make music.
Well, respect to them too. The computer aspect is something I had to learn too.
Okay.
That was just like all the other guys. I had to sit there, build my own computer, learn the software one by one. But I think it's not a disadvantage for not having classical training.
Okay.
But it's an advantage for me. I can't stress that enough. How much knowing sud, knowing tal, knowing the fundamentals, knowing what rag does this person sing in, stuff like that. It's like that extra 10%, and it's like one of those tools in the arsenal. I
want to know from you how, and I've always been curious, and I'm really glad that I'm actually getting to speak to a gunawa, kalakar, as they say. Guneve kalakar se hum guftagu kar rahe hain. I want to ask you, how does the sur tal, the rag, translate into Western music? Because there's a slight sort of Western hip hop influence in some of the work that you do. Well, that's the thing.
You hear it, right?
Yes.
You know it's there, but. How, right?
Does it actually translate? Is there a Western equivalent of what sur and tal is?
Absolutely.
What are they called in English?
So what we have in English is keys,
okay,
which is similar to what rags are. Rags basically predetermine what notes you're going to be playing in this song.
Is it like a predetermined tune?
It's not a predetermined tune, but you know how a keyboard has all those different notes?
Yeah.
So this basically tells you you can play this one, you're not allowed to play that one, you can play that one sometimes, but these ones you can play most of the time. But then but rags are still a lot more looser. Keys are very structured. English music, from what I've seen, playing like orchestral music, I've played percussion and timpani and stuff like that for bands like that. So seeing stuff like that in Indian music, it's a lot more improv based.
Is that why it's harder to auto-tune Indian music than it is to?
Well, we have way more scales. Like we use scales that they don't even think about.
Okay.
But it's not that they don't have them. It's just they don't bother. What we hear on the radio is not going to go into those rags, because what happens on radio music, it's mostly major and minor keys, which is 2 or 3 major rags in Indian music.
Okay.
Bharvi, Darbari, Sarang. So those are your major kind of minor keys, and then you got Pahari, which is like the happier sounding music.
Yes.
So again, it all translates, definitely. You can switch between, and you know what? I actually have to thank my mentor, Raymond. Nice. He actually taught me all about this. I didn't know that. I've been learning all this music, but he helped me bridge it.
Sweet.
And there is a bridge. That's why A.R. Rahman.
Yes, and I think, I'm glad you brought A.R. Rahman up, because I think that it's such a rare crossover artist we're talking about when we talk about A.R. Rahman, where you could be full on Angrezi or you could be full on Desi, but you would still enjoy his music.
Yeah.
And it's to make music that universal, you require that bridge, which is where you're standing.
Well, it's a language, right? And once you know those ABCs, you can put in whatever language you want.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with you in that sense. And of course, the fact that you mentioned, I think, A.R. Rahman, I think it's a really important point to actually, just quickly be, very proud of ourselves. Academy Awards that hali mein pishle hafte hi hue the.
Absolutely.
A.R. Rahman
big deal.
Was the composer there.
He was leading the whole orchestra. He was singing as well.
He was, yes. And that's phenomenal. So, and of course, on the flip side, then Pakistan wins their first Oscar. So it's
that was big. Congratulations on that. That's a big deal as well.
I think it's never been a better time to be Desi. I'm telling you all about it.
I think Indian, being ethnic, being proud of who you are, regardless of what color is on you.
Yeah.
This is the time, because this is when it's valued.
Right.
It's not only respected, it's valued. It's an advantage now.
Yes, and I think it's all over. It's not even just in terms of music. I mean, if you look at performance, NBC cancelled Parks and Recreation, which has a Desi person, and brings back Community, which has a Desi person.
Well, how many shows now have a token Indian person in it, right?
Well, token is also not a very good thing to have, but it's a start. But it's a start,
Well, I mean, Aziz Ansari, that guy definitely picked it up as well. He's not a token Indian guy in any. He's like one of the guys. He sounds like half the guys I know.
Exactly.
That's what it should be.
And I'm so glad that we're moving on from terrorist cab driver, because when you are a Desi actor, and I'll tell you this, I know this because we're in the industry.
Yeah.
When you go in for auditions, 70% of your auditions are, I'll tell you, terrorist, cab driver or shopkeeper. Unfortunately, America में बस देसी लोगों के 3 काम है. अगर आप बम नहीं फोड़ रहे हैं, तो आप टैक्सी चला रहे हैं या दुकान चला रहे हैं. But it is what it is. TV के मुताबिक, this is all Desi people do, but I'm glad that's changing.
Yeah, it is definitely.
So coming back now, I am so sort of impressed by the fact that you can name drop rags like this, which is a great thing. No one can do that. I'm like, Pahadi, Bhairvi, I know these.
You know what? You should have seen me with Pokemon, man. Pokemon, I used to call that stuff out just like that.
I can do that. Okay, but only I can't do gold and silver though. I only know red and blue.
We're old school.
I stopped when they brought in the other dares for Pokemon. I was like, what bakwas is this?
I was like, how can you make more?
You can't. You gotta catch him all. He caught him all. Khatam ho gaya yaar.
It's like Ramayan. It never ended for me.
Exactly.
It's just 47 episodes later, like there can't be another one.
No, well, they never introduced new characters in Ramayan, did they?
No.
Well, you can't. It's been written already. You can't exactly. But this conversation, bhai, पूरी दुनिया की सैर करके वापस आ रहे हैं. Of course, जयराज के बारे में और हमें जानना है. But you know what? This conversation needs to go on. पर इससे पहले हमें लेना है थोड़ी सी break. So आप कहीं ना जाइएगा. वापस आके हम सुनने वाले हैं जयराज की भाई new single अमरा दी चन. Amra di Chan. I need to learn more Punjabi, and I'm glad you're here because you're gonna help me brush it.
Instructionals, no problem.
Done. Amra di Chan. We're gonna listen to this song when we come back after the break. So आप कहीं ना जाइएगा क्योंकि हम अभी गए और अभी वापस आए.